So these are the Skullcandy Crusher ANC 2s, and if you're a basshead, these are going to be able to more than satisfy you because these have a lot of bass. And if this is your first time getting a pair of crushers from Skullcandy, then you're in for a big surprise. So today we are going to check out the Skullcandy Crusher ANC 2s because these have a lot of new features, some of which you might not even use.
Regarding pricing, the Skullcandy Crusher ANC 2 have a retail price of $230, making these a pair of mid-tier ANC headphones. Now personally, I recommend that you wait for these headphones to go on sale, and I think these are better off as a pair of secondary headphones, not daily drivers. Nonetheless, if you want to pick these headphones up, they'll be linked down below, or you can always press on the YouTube shopping button. And if you want to further support the channel, pick up a Big Head approved hat, link down below. We've got trucker hats and snapbacks. By buying a hat, you help the unbiased and unsponsored videos coming, and it also helps us cover more products and produce more versus videos. Thank you to everyone who's already bought a hat, and look out for more designs coming soon. And also, please remember to hit that like button, and let's get subscribed. Now first, let's talk about the included case. Now the Crusher ANC 2s come included with a decent hardshell case, so your headphones are going to still well protected even if they're in a cramped backpack. And this case is decently sized. It's not as small as Bose's cases, but at least it's not as large as the 1000XM5's case or the Sennheiser Momentum Force case. And more importantly, it's not a softshell case like what you get with the Beats Studio Pro. Overall, the Crusher ANC 2s come included with a decently sized hardshell case, which is what we expect to see from a pair of mid-tier ANC headphones. But with the cases out of the way, let's talk about the headphones themselves. Now the Crusher ANC 2s have a mostly plastic body, but the majority of these headphones have a soft touch feel to them, making them feel more premium. The ear cups pivot and swivel a good amount, this headband clicks very gently, and up top we have like a velvet on the top of the headband, and underneath we have fairly padded fabric. Overall, these headphones are very sturdy, but then there's the leatherette on these headphones. Now, this leatherette doesn't feel plasticky or synthetic, but it doesn't feel as soft or supple like the leatherette that you'll find on Bose's headphones. This leatherette feels rigid like the leather that you would find on a new leather seat. And then there's the padding on these ear pads. It is a little stiff when compared to other headphones out there. So overall, the Crusher ANC 2s have solid build quality, but these do feel rather different from other headphones out there. But then there's the fit of these headphones, and they are a bit of a mixed bag. Regarding clamping force, these headphones are big head approved because they don't have all that much clamping force. So if you have a big head and or if you like to wear hats, these should have you covered, and these have a neutral fit to them. However, the padding on this headband is a little stiff, so after an hour or so, it can create a hot spot on the top of your head. And then there are the ear pads on these headphones. Now these ear pads are very spacious and they will have no problem accommodating most ear types, and even if you have very large ears or ears that stick out a lot, they should have you covered. And since these ear pads have so little surface area coming in contact with your skin, they do a really good job of staying cooler for longer. But also, since the padding on these ear pads is so stiff, they don't feel as comfortable as other ear pads out there with softer cushioning. But then there's their weight. The Crusher ANC 2s weigh in at 332 grams, which is up there when compared to other headphones out there, because the Momentum 4s weigh in at 295 grams, the Beats Studio Pros weigh in at 260 grams, the Bose QC Ultras and the Sony 1000XM4s both weigh in at 255 grams, the Sony 1000XM5s weigh in at 250 grams, and then there are the Bose QCs which weigh in at 235 grams. So with the Crusher ANC 2s, these are a lot more noticeable when they're on your head, and you really feel these shifting around when you're walking around with them on. And since a lot of this weight is found in their ear cups themselves, when you turn their head, these headphones have a lot of inertia to them. So fit-wise, these headphones fit okay because they are big head approved and they have very spacious ear cups, but their headband can create a hot spot on the top of your head, and these are fairly noticeable when they're on your head because they are pretty heavy. But at least they aren't as heavy as the AirPod Max, which weigh in at a hefty 384 grams.
But now let's talk about tech specs. So regarding battery life, the Skullcandy Crusher ANC 2s have an advertised battery life of 50 hours with their active noise cancellation turned on, which is above average and is very impressive. And if you were to use these headphones with their active noise cancellation turned off, then they're going to be good for up to 60 hours. And I think that this is another reason why these headphones are just so heavy, because they have very big batteries in them. And in order to charge these headphones, they charge via a USB-C port, as they should. And when it comes to the fast charging numbers on the Crusher ANC 2s, if you were to plug these headphones in for 10 minutes from a dead battery, they're going to get you 4 hours of playback time. Not bad. And when it comes to Bluetooth connectivity, these headphones can be connected to any 2 Bluetooth devices at the same time, which is good if you're a power user, because you can easily hot swap from one device to another regardless of ecosystem. So if you're using an iPhone, you can easily hot swap to your PC with your Crusher ANC 2s. And when it comes to overall performance, these headphones have zero latency across the board when watching movies or videos on your phone, whether you're using an iPhone or an Android device. But when it comes to audio codecs, the Crusher ANC 2s only have support for SBC and AAC, which is perfectly fine. But if you want to, you can always still use a wired connection with these headphones because they still have an audio jack and they still come included with an audio cable. Now, I know this sounds very basic, but I do have to point this out because some headphones out there are starting to remove their audio jack. Just keep in mind that you cannot use the USB-C port on these headphones as a wired connection. The USB-C port on these headphones are strictly used for charging.
But with all that out of the way, let's talk about sound. Now, there are 2 parts to these headphones. There are your standard 40mm drivers, and there's also your sensory bass. Now, if you were to use these headphones with their Crusher feature turned off, then these headphones aren't going to sound all that great. Their SMS separation isn't all that great, so they do sound a little narrow. There's a lot of emphasis on the mids and vocals, and the highs can sound a little harsh at times, and the instrumentals are very difficult to point out. But also, these headphones do have an adjustable EQ, so you can go in and make them sound however you want, and they also do the whole personalized sound thing. But the short of it is, the Skullcandy Crusher ANC 2s don't have the best instrument separation or detail. However, you're not getting these because you're looking for the best instrument separation or detail. If that was the case, then you'd want to look at a pair of Sennheisers. But what the Crusher ANC 2s do have is bass, and these things have a lot of it. Basically, these headphones have so much bass that they will make your teeth chatter, and all of this bass is just a lot of dumb fun, and this bass adds an extra level of immersiveness when you're watching a movie with them, because it's like you have a subwoofer strapped onto your head. So with all of this bass, it won't really matter that these don't have the best instrument separation because you're not going to be able to hear it over all of the bass. And more importantly, the Crusher ANC 2s put an emphasis on the vocals so they can still hear the lyrics over all of the bass. And if you were to crank the bass all the way up on these headphones, it's like you're listening to music in your older brother's riced up Civic with an aftermarket sound system where they crank the bass all the way up because for some reason, unless your car's body panels are rattling, there isn't enough bass. Basically, you're not getting the Crusher ANC 2s because you're looking for the best detail in your music. These are all about bass, and since these are all about bass, this is why I say that these are better suited as a pair of secondary headphones, not daily drivers, because all of this bass can get tiring after a while. And if you try to use these headphones with their Crusher feature turned off, then they don't sound all that particularly great.
But then there are the media controls on these headphones. Now, the Crusher ANC 2s have your classic physical buttons, and these buttons are very easy to find. They're easy enough to teleport, and they have a decent enough click to them. But also, the Crusher ANC 2s have their own voice assistant, Skull IQ. And basically, if you say, "Hey Skullcandy," then you're going to be able to control your music playback, you're going to be able to skip through your music and adjust the volume. But you're also going to be able to adjust the bass on these headphones with just your voice, and you can also activate or deactivate your active noise cancellation or your ambient mode. And you can also ask your Skullcandy voice assistant to activate your phone's voice assistant, or you can also use your Skullcandy voice assistant as a shutter for your phone's camera, so you can use it for selfies. But the thing about Skull IQ and using Skullcandy's voice assistant is that you do have to have the Skull IQ app running in the background of your phone. And personally, I do feel that having to say, "Hey Skullcandy, do so-and-so," it is a little less natural than saying, "Hey Google," or if you're an iPhone user, just Siri now, because now you don't even have to say, "Hey Siri," you just say, "Siri, do so-and-so." But also, Skullcandy does claim that through the Skull IQ app, these headphones are going to be getting more features in the future, but we're going to have to see if that actually happens. But more importantly, the Crusher ANC 2s still have tile support, so you'll be able to track them down if you ever lose them. But the short of it is, yes, the Skullcandy Crusher ANC2s have their own voice assistant, Skull IQ, but I don't think many people are actually going to use Skull IQ.
But now let's talk about the active noise cancellation on these headphones. And basically, the active noise cancellation on these headphones is a bit of a disappointment, especially for a pair of mid-tier ANC headphones. But so that you can see for yourself, we're going to jump into an ANC test. So like you may have just seen, the ANC on these headphones isn't all that impressive. They block out a little more noise than the Sony Wacha 720N, but these are a pair of entry-level ANC headphones, and they block out less noise than the Beats Studio Pro, which aren't a good pair of ANC headphones to begin with. Overall, if active noise cancellation is very important to you, I wouldn't recommend the Skullcandy Crusher ANC2s. And then there's the Ambient Mode on these headphones. Now the Ambient Mode on the Crusher ANC2s is good enough to get the job done, but it does sound rather artificial and their microphone array is a little fast to pick up wind noise when walking outdoors. But at least you can adjust how much noise these headphones let in, which is nice.
But finally, here's the microphone test, and I feel that these have a decent enough sounding microphone to take phone calls with while in a quiet room. However, when it comes to blocking out noise pollution, things do get a little trickier here. Now, this microphone does an okay job of blocking out constant low frequency sounds like road noise, because for comparison's sake, if we were to switch over to my lapel microphone, you're going to clearly hear all of this road noise. But if we were to switch back over to the Crusher ANC2s, it is slightly reduced. Oh, when it comes to blocking out chatter, this microphone is just a disaster. Like you said, you can't really hear or understand. So overall, the Skullcandy Crusher ANC2s have a decent enough sounding microphone on them to take phone calls with while in a quiet room. However, when it comes to blocking out noise pollution, this microphone really does struggle.
So with all that being said, the Skullcandy Crusher ANC2s certainly deliver because they have a lot of bass. The bass on these headphones will literally rattle your head so much that your teeth will chatter, and all of this bass adds an extra level of immersiveness when you watch movies with these headphones. However, all of this bass can get a little tiring after a while. Now you can use these headphones with their Crusher feature turned off, but then they're not going to sound all that good because they don't have the best instrument separation. And regarding their active noise cancellation, it's not all that impressive, especially for a pair of headphones of this price point. And the fit of these headphones isn't the greatest because of their weight and stiff padding. But something that they do have going for them is their battery life. But overall, I would mainly recommend these as a pair of secondary headphones. As a pair of daily drivers, these are a bit of a tough sell if you ask me. If you made it this far, I guess you enjoyed the video, so hit the like button and get subscribed. If you want to pick any of the products up, they'll be linked down below. And if you want to further support the channel, check out the merch. I made some shirts and hoodies that look and feel great. And you know I can be very particular, so I'll only slap my name on something if I'm really proud of it.